Howdy dudes and dudettes, it's daily 629. Part dos. Where we're learning to be a better gamer, thanks, StarTales Bomber. We spent a little time in part 1 examining a standard looking game where we would see Bomber open up with the Biomine, open up with early expand and hellions to be able to transition pretty swiftly into Biomine. There we go. And we contrasted this by showing a completely different opening to be able to wiggle our way back into Biomine. But there's certainly other ways to play. Are there not? And how do we exploit some of the typical patterns from Zerg? So what we're going to do is hop in and look at a different style entirely from Bomber. A game of him versus Jadon from the Grand Final. We'll actually look at 2 to see it twice. Enabled my sound and music for this one. Feeling pretty good about myself. So we see that the map is Newkirk Precinct. It's a map that a lot of people like to talk about how droppable this is, how eminently droppable, and likewise how eminently muta-harassable this side is. But one of the biggest things is that it's a straight push map. If we have stuff here, we just derp, we got him! Bang! Bangu! On maps that have a little bit more openness to them, a lot of multi-pronged attacks, a lot of different sides where things can swing in from, Biomine works well. Think of an example of a map that's very open, that has a lot of different attack angles, a lot of different space to cover. Whirlwind is the perfect map. Large map! Yes, Chuck 74747. We got one guy paying attention in the whole show. Yes! Bam! Yeah, big maps. Maps with wide open spaces like, I would say Akalon Waste has some nice advantages in this. There's a lot of different counterattack routes in that one. Biomine functions quite well in that little confined space. Whirlwind I think is fantastic on. But what about on something like Newkirk Precinct? I mean, we can just go and just go Biomine because it's my impersonation of every Terran player. what's your Zerg versus Terran strategy as the Terran player? Mines! I don't know what that is. No. Some sort of aggressively stupid velociraptor I get. Trying to open doors. You're not that evolved. You can't open doors. You're a velociraptor. What are we talking about? Most Terran players just go and go Biomine on every map. Like some sort of demented goat. But we can see that this is a map that might behoove a different style. If we're going to just be drilling down one path, maybe we do something else, like go tank. Tank here, maybe we go tank here. Now, we have to worry about one big thing, which is death to all ends. Everything else, up to 12 minutes, is basically going to be Zerg trying to stay alive. If he's not all-inning, he's going to be trying to get up Spire and Layer and upgrades, just as we saw in the previous daily, 628. So let's see how Bomber intends to go into something nice in the mid-game Marine tank. It's all about declaring your overall mid-game goal and wiggling your way there with what have you. Command Center. One thing I just want to briefly note, the last game we watched on Akalon Waste, the Reaper Hellion play, we talked about what it was and how it transitioned, but we didn't answer the question, why would you go for Reaper proxy opening on that map? And then into all this other shenaniganry. Rather, I'll let you figure that out on your own. I mean, it's just Reaper cliffs and a lot of just map formations and stuff. But for this one, I do want to emphasize, we are beginning with a why. Why do anything else other than Biomine on this map? Well, because, I mean, if he's expanding here, we have a great place for tanks to move in. We're covering the backside from Mutalisks. It's really difficult for him to deal with tanks on that high ground. Oh, I'm actually just going to take this brief interjection. Let me see here. There's a question from Hellmaker, who says that when we look at ZVP and ZVT, we look at Protoss timings and Terran timings. Because this is what Zerg bases their timings on. However, now Zerg is the opponent. We're looking at Terran timings. In this point in time, this is the game where we're actually going to be looking a lot at exactly that. So what a well-timed question. So to emphasize what Hellmaker is asking, very often when someone approaches their build orders, they think about what my race can do. Like, let's say I'm a young budding Protoss player, and I'm like, okay, cool, so I can get Phoenixes out this fast, and I can do Void Ray builds like this, and go Dark Templar and transition into that. And all that's fine and dandy for you to know those timings, but none of it has any meanings unless we know exactly what our opponent can and can't do. So I alluded to it a little bit at the start, but now let's make that explicit. We're worried about him killing us with an all-in, and then up to around 12 minutes, that's when Zerg is going to be powering up. So what that means is this all-in, these swing-ins are going to be happening like from around 6:30 to 8:30 is generally this window of concern, where we're like, are you going to all-in? Are you going to all-in? Is anything scary happening? And then after that, we know that Zerg is trying to get his speed, get his upgrades, his one-ups, get his Mutalisk. So there's actually a nice vulnerability right before 12 that we would like to hit. And then after that, it's just a lot of micro. Those are the two big timings. So perfect. Perfectly timed question. And I hope, Mr. Hellmaker, it was of satisfaction. So cool, we're opening up with a rather unsurprising looking opening. Command center first. Barracks following back up. Factory going down. Reactor coming up. And down it goes. Third command center coming down. This is looking already a lot like Biomine. So when we get to this point, we're saying, okay, well, any early just Ling alone plays, we got covered with this wall off, we got covered with these hellions. And we actually see that Bomber doesn't quite need, actually this is an easier one to look at, 35 and 46 doesn't quite need this depot. He doesn't exactly need it, but he gets it anyways because, what do you know, Lings? What do you know? What do you know? Rather easy roast there. And even as the two Marines able to pick off the Overlord, pretty slick. Actually, let me just take a moment to give a big bow to the Dong. He has his Zerglings positioned at the front and an Overlord in the back. And his goal is to distract these Marines, to get them to unload from the bunker, so it's an empty bunker, and then to break down the front. Bomber, though, again, overbuilt supply depots to prevent this sort of loss from happening. Great move from Jaedong, greater move from our good friend, Bonheur. So right away, kind of a funky little swap that comes up from Bomber. And Bomber's known for doing this just for Hellions. Juste for. Everything else sort of looks the same. But the reason why 4 Hellions and not 6, because geez Louise, we got to get that factory up fast. And we see all the other pieces from Jaedong going down, the extra upgrades. Soon enough he's going to be getting his layout. Tracking things down and picking them off is what Jaedong's all about. What do you know? Double engineering bay. But most importantly of all, Bomber's not going heavy on the barracks count. He's not teching up either. He is going for really early Quattro Gasol. Look at this quad gas business. Holy crap. Very often you'll see Terran players not really take these two gases for a super long time. But he's already thrown all of them down. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and show the timing. Why not? It's easy enough, and it's significant as all hell. And it's a super easy timing. The instant that we go for the factory with the add-on, we get all our gases. Isn't that nice and easy? Isn't that easy timing to remember? The instant we have enough money, we throw down, after our factory, the double engineering bay. And then we have our 3 barracks down as well. So the tank production gets started right away. Right away, I said, damn it, bomber. Oh, you buffoon. There it is. What a blasphemous buffoon. So bomber is going to do the usual look of things and try to, you know, contain, try to harass. But these aren't as super pivotal. Normally, right now, this would be a very, very dangerous situation for Terran. Because normally, a Terran player would just have like a mine, and that's it. 2 Zerglings, pick those off, and then doom. Bomber does know he's in a little bit of a tight spot. He gets the bunker up, but at the same time, Siege Tank is going to be able to deal a hell of a lot more damage than even like 4 mines will. So, oh god, I forgot about this. This is fan-frickin-tastic. This is so good. Ugh. We might ask ourselves, well, what happens if we get screwed up and we have to make these bunkers? And Bomber literally shows us the relationship that we need to be keeping track of. Well, if you do need to make bunkers, get those first and then get the barracks. But if you don't need to make them, just get the damn barracks, man. If your hellions are alive, get the damn barracks. So we see that, you know, the combat shield comes up right afterwardly. Starport is getting close to finished. And we might ask ourselves questions like, well, gee, where does he get time to get the reactor on that starport? Because we're used to seeing that. Where is he going to get time to be able to produce those 2 medevacs? And this, that, and the other. I will leave you dangling on that one. When we come back and look at Jaedong, he's doing the same thing that all our Zerg players are doing. Getting 1-1, getting the Baneling Nest, getting the Spire, getting the Macro Hatch. Layers already done, 3 bases and 6 gases churning out. So how does Bomber get the double medevac production? He doesn't, dude. He just gets the 1 medevac. A lot of the gas is just being burned on the siege tanks. Oops. And, you know, Bomber's clearly aware of how much gas he has to spend, because right as his expo lands, instantly getting another refinery. Reactors on the Baraxans. Armory for the 2-2 upgradings. Goes for this drop. I'm sort of fine with the drop not going down at all. I think it's totally not supremely necessary. But you heard me say before that a nice vulnerable timing was right up to around 12 minutes. And we can see this coming to fruition right here. Look at this. 1-1, combat shield, stem, all finishing up right before the Spire. Right after these tragic little upgrades, but often even before centrifugal hooks. And this isn't even the big move for Bomber. So we get to see Bomber throw down all these barracks. We get to see Bomber have these siege tanks up for nice defense. And we see him starting to transition back into Biomine. There's the reactor going down. Little usual bits of harassment. Everything is as expected. And what do you know? What do you know? Double production. A turret. Getting the reactors, Joe. A lot of defense. What do you know? Hey, there's that reactor going to... Hey, it's Biomine. Hey, wait a minute. It's Biomine. Oh! Hell yeah, it is. Opened up, transitioned into a nice marine tank play, and pulled back into Biomine. Notice how despite all the cool techniques that were going on at the start, transitions back into everything very nicely, and this is a trademark Bomber move. Since the dawn of time, I actually even did a daily on this. It's Bomber's 14-minute maxed push with 2-2. And what do you know, Joe? He's moving on out. Yes. He's doing some scans, Joe. And let me tell you something. If you thought that Ling Muta Baneling struggle versus Biomine, try putting in a couple of tanks. Watch this sick stuff. Remember how I talked about how it's a real pain in the ass once a siege tank gets up here? Well, it is. It's a pain in the ass, and I'm not lying. Why would I lie to you? It's not my job to lie. Siege tanks now can threaten picking off all the Banelings. You have to get these like amazing angles, and we can see Bomber could have the opportunity to target fire the Banelings if he didn't already kill them off so quickly. And we have ourselves standard Bomber macro. There's one thing that's absolutely fantastic about this setup is we get these 3 barracks with reactors out, so it's 15 Marines at a time. Or as if you opened up a notepad and asked Bomber what his strategy is, this is what the notepad would tell you. It would tell you something like this. Here's the notepad for Bomber's strategy. Normally, if a Zerg player is playing competently, it's very hard for the Terran to bust in for a win before 3-3's done. But it's this cool little setup from Bomber where he's devaluing getting the medevacs really early, valuing getting the tanks, super safe, super protected. All scary Zerg things got deflected. You know what? I want to see a game where Bomber goes for that tank push. You got it. Well, that's annoying. Oh my god, the sound. Sound. We're gonna do this whole game over again. You know, I don't know what that bug's from. I don't know what that bug is from. God, I'm such a dingus. Such a weenus. Alright, cool. So, what's Obama to do? I think this tank thing's pretty cool. Let's see something a little different. So we've taken some learnings. We started with Biomine play in part 1, and we did a slightly different opening that we still saw flow straight in to Biomine. And then we got the chance to see in the last game something that flowed more into Marine Tank, which way down the line flowed into Biomine. And here we're going to see something that takes quite the tour all ways which around that might never even hit the Biomine. Opening up barracks first. Why is that? Because in the metagame, most Zerg players are going triple command center, or excuse me, triple hatchery before pool. So command centaur goes down. 1 marine, 1 depot. Bunker. Bunker? Bunker. There's the barracks going down from Bomber. 2 barracks. Who goes 3 barracks versus Zerg? And then a single refinery. Wow. How is Bomber going to deal with all these varying timings? Step 1. Get a bunker up. Bunker up very quickly. We see some very deliberate placement up on the high ground. Alright, now that we're mining gas, what is step 2? We're worried about this all-in timing. Because he went for 3 hatch first, I'll just tell you that it's between 7 and 9. Certainly closer to 7 to 8:30. Very concentrated pack of scary times. But other than that, very straightforward, very self-timing build. What do we get first? Combat shield. Now, why would you get combat shield first? Because this is going to be finishing close to 8. And right around 8 minutes is when a lot of all-ins that are super scary with banelings roll right on in. Cool. So we're going to get the combat shield to be able to deal with those. If we got stim, we would be hit right before stim's done. So look at this. Command Center coming down at the front. Still sort of looking like a usual 3 command center play. Oops. Factory comes on up. Second refinery comes on up. I actually want to note that Bomber gets himself a brief scan at the front as he's moving out. This is often a nice indicator because we can see either a lot of drones, not a lot of drones. Often we'll see a geyser, something that can indicate to us whether there's the all-in coming at us or whether we can go straight for the attack. So already we have a pretty cool, very nice little Marini combo. Moving on in. Back home we still see the same mixture of things. Actually, is my sound off? Okay, cool. Same sort of mix of things going on back home. We have the double engineering bay, factory coming up. We have the opportunity to do some really nice, neat, nifty little damage, which often wins, sometimes backfires. But even when it backfires, it's not really atrocious. This is probably as bad as it'll look. But we can see that it's had the direct impact of killing some workers, but more significantly, it's had the indirect impact of forcing Zerg to do something other than workers. And we also see that Jaedong is... Oops, gotta turn that on. You see that Jaedong is quite delayed on his layer tech. It's a very nice delay tactic. So when we come back, we're going to watch the closure of this, and then we're going to watch another very cool big marine opening. Pretty sweet, right? Getting combat shield up for defense, and then going for the attack. And then soon enough, tanky, tanky. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Coming back in a moment.